Hello, it's Sonia here with The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today is Wednesday, and that means it's a stitch of the week. So for this stitch, I'm going to be using a K hook or a 6.5 millimeter hook. I find with this stitch, especially if you're, never done it before, it might be a little easier to use a larger hook. I mean, you can certainly use whatever hook size that you want, and I'm also using a worsted weight yarn or number 4. I just think once we get going, it will be a little easier to demonstrate this hook with a larger hook, and then you'll understand why. Alright, so to get started, this is a cluster. I'm not sure what to call it yet. I guess I'm going to call it like a single crochet cluster stitch. I think it's really pretty. It's very textured, and I think it looks great on on both sides. So it's kind of reversible, which is another thing that I love. So it might be great for scarves or a blanket, and it's kind of a dense stitch as well. Alright, so let's get started. So you're going to want to chain an even number. So I am going to chain, let's do 12. Alright, so I have my 12 chains here. So what you're going to want to do to get started is, this is going to be your setup row 2. So row 2. this is row 1. Row 1 is your setup row. Row 2 is the row that you will be doing the repeat for however long you want to have your swatch. Alright, so we are working in the second chain from our hook. So you're going to insert your hook in that second chain. So however you want to work in your chain, and you're going to pull up a loop. So we have 2 loops in our hook. We're going to go into the next chain and pull up a loop. So now we have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So I suggest working a little bit more loosely, not super tight, until you get the hang of this stitch. So you'll understand a little bit why. So we're going to pull through all 3 of those loops. So we've created one little single crochet cluster. So to finish that off, we're going to yarn over or chain 1. Work a chain 1 or yarn over, pull through a loop. So now we're going to repeat that across. So we're going to go on our next chain, and we're just going to pull up a loop and go into the next chain and pull up a loop. So this stitch is worked over 2 chains for your setup row. So we have our 3 loops on our hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through all 3 of those guys. And then to finish her off, I'm chaining 1. And again, I'm trying not to work too tightly. I tend to be a tighter crocheter, so it's kind of hard for me. So I thought using a larger hook might help me out. Alright, so let's keep going. Next chain, we're going to pull up a loop. And next chain, pull up a loop. So 3 loops. So far pretty simple. It's almost like working a single crochet together stitch in a way. And we're going to chain 1 to finish off that stitch. And we're going to keep going across our chain here. And I'm chaining 1. So you're going to go across, and then you're going to have one more chain at the end. So let me finish up here. I've got my 3. Yarning over, pulling through all 3. Chaining 1. So in your very last chain, you're just going to work a regular single crochet. So there we go. So we have completed our first row of single crochet cluster stitches. I think they look really nice. So now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So the reason why I said to work more loosely is you are going to work in here, in this stitch here. So if you turn it up and look at it, because it can be a little confusing as to where to work. So we're going to work in here and in here. And this stitch here, it can be a little bit tight. That's why I switched to a larger hook to try to make it a little easier. So you don't want to work this stitch too tightly because it can be a little tricky to get your hook in there. So I'm going to, so I've chained 1, I've turned, I'm going to insert my hook in here, pulling up a loop, and I'm going to insert my hook right in there and pulling up a loop. So we have our 3 loops in our hook just like we had in row 1. We're going to yarn over, pull through all 3, and then I'm going to chain 1 to finish that guy off. So now we go into the next 2 stitches. So when you look at it like this, again, it might be a little, you might think, oh, I need to work here and I need to work here. But if you turn her over look at the top, you can see, oops, there we go. So right here is where we're going to work, and right here, but it's the second guy that's a little bit, as you can see, like there's not a lot of room in there. So that's why I switched to the larger hook and I said to work more loosely. So you might need to wiggle your hook in there to get that, to work that stitch. So we're going to pull up our loop and work in that tight guy there, pull up a loop. So we have our 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3, chain 1. And we're just going to do that across here. See, that one I made a little bit tighter, but not too bad. So I'm chaining 1 to finish that stitch off, so I'm inserting my hook, pulling up a loop, working in that next stitch there. 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3, chain 1. So I believe this is my last one of my cluster. Stitches here and chain 1. So in your very last stitch, like we did for row 1, so you can see there's that last stitch there, you're just working a single crochet. And so now row 2 is complete. So we'll work another row. All right, so we've worked our second row. We're gonna work row 3. And so now row 3 is going to be a repeat of row 2, and you're going to do that for the rest of the stitch pattern, so for however long you want your swatch. So again, we're going to work right in that same stitch. So we've chained 1, turned, insert our hook, pull up a loop. So we've got our 2 loops. So now we're going to work in this next one. So again, if you're having trouble figuring out where that is, just turn her over and you can see the line of stitches on the top there. But that second one might be a little tight, so just keep that in mind. So we've got our 3 loops, yarning over, pulling through all 3, chain 1 to finish that guy off. So keep going across. So again, I think this stitch could be very versatile for a lot of different projects. I think it would actually be very nice in a blanket, because it is reversible, so you don't have to worry about right or wrong side, or a scarf, or a cowl. I mean, you can do a lot of different things. Even in a hat, I'm sure you can work this in the round, figure it out. And it's very textured. I love textured stitches. I love just seeing the intricacies of yarn and what you can do with it. So I'm chaining 1, and then I'm at my last stitch here. So again, your last stitch is going to be a single crochet, and then chain 1, turn, and you'll just keep going right in that same stitch, pulling up a loop, working in that next little crunch stitch there. So I'm going to keep going and work a few more rows so you can really see how pretty and textured this stitch pattern is, and I will meet you back. Alright, so I have worked a few more rows. I worked 7 rows. And so you can see on this side and on this side, and they look pretty similar. So again, a nice reversible stitch there. So I hope you enjoyed this stitch of the week, and I thank you so much for watching.